maybe for those, and myself included, like do a little 101 just on the sense of what this is and why it's important.
Yeah, we'll take the second question first. It's important because copyright is the rules of the road that allow like creative folks to get paid, not just in the music world. And without those laws, it's would have to look like a different system, like a patronage system or something like that. The copyright says you have exclusive rights to certain uses of your work if it's protected by copyright, and it's for you to, for the most part, be the one to license those works, and others can't do it without your permission. There are some exceptions to that, but like fair use is the biggest one, but there's other ones in the Copyright Act that are pretty important for music. But generally, copyright is really important because without copyright, we don't have a creative industry. Taking a step back, everybody says that if we were to write the laws about music today, they wouldn't look anything like they do now. And that's because over time, new technologies, consumer preferences, new inventions of 100 years ago, we didn't have phono records. Well, maybe 125 years ago, we didn't have record players, things like that. And so we had to create laws to kind of catch up with all these different advancements. But the gist of copyright and how it applies to music there are two copyrights whenever a track is created. If people know this, please forgive me because it gets more confusing the more I talk. But this should be the basic one. You have the musical work world and you have the sound recording world. Musical works are compositions and lyrics. Think like notes on paper. When someone's writing a song, I think the classic example is Dolly Parton wrote "I Will Always Love You." When Whitney Houston recorded it, that audio file is the sound recording. So for those two works, you have songwriters and publishers, and you have performers, producers, engineers, and labels, and they both kind of have their own set of rules for each of those works. But a lot of times they're contained in the same container. I like to call it a track. Some people call it a song, whatever you want to call it. That's why it gets a little bit confusing. But the rules for how the law treats those are very inconsistent.